Bonjour, in this episode we do some photo critique. Bonjour mesdames et messieurs and welcome to episode 75 of my photography, Lightroom and Photoshop tips. My name is Serge Ramelli. I'm a French photographer living in the beautiful city of Paris. Last week I showed some tricks about interior design and it was the release of my new professional interior design course. Check it out if you have not. I've got some great reviews on it and I've put a lot of work into it. This week, following up last week's competition, I promised that I would do some critiques of some photos. I received lots of photos, so I'm sorry if your photo is not in there, but it was really a lot. And so I picked a few and I will give you my viewpoint on some of them. So here we go, let's do some photo critiques. Okay, just before we get started, I just want to remind you that you have minus 40% using the promo code Thanksgiving until Thanksgiving. It's the biggest discount ever. It's going to be probably once a year or twice a year, 40% off on anything that I sell. So if well, it's the opportunity to take the complete package, or you just click on tutorials and you have the package, and all you have to do is go on the direct download, for example, here on the complete package, or on the interior design course, you go on direct download, and on discount code, which is here, you enter Thanksgiving and you get the 40% discount. Voila. Now let's get to the tutorial. So I promised, as I said last week in my last episode, there was a little photo composition on getting the best sunsets possible. So I will say that I will, because a lot of people ask me for critics, what they think, what I think about their photos, or what advice would I give them. Now, before I get started, I just want to say that this is my viewpoint. I might be totally wrong. It is my emotion as an artist that I communicate to you. You might have a complete different feeling. Every being for me on this planet is unique and they each have a viewpoint, and that's what makes them an artist. So I'm going to give you my viewpoint, trying to be objective and positive so that you can learn things out of it. If you think my advice is not for you, then it's fine, it's not for you. If it's one of your picture and you feel offended, I'm really sorry for that. I'm just doing it to try to improve people and inspire people. And I try to do my best at that. So here we go. Starting with this photo. This is the before photo of a man called Charlie Bishop. I actually like that photo. That's the before and that's the after. So I actually like the final result. I think it's pretty cool. Let me press I so we have this. I think it's pretty cool. Honestly, not much to correct. I would personally, let me go into the develop module. I'm going to put this away. The only thing that I would do maybe is I would add a bit more vibrance. But again, this is my taste, just add a bit more vibrance. But I like the composition. The only thing I don't like about it, it's that the two people which is here, which I think is very interesting, it's cut here. They don't breathe, as we say. Maybe it was not possible to give them more space, but I love the photo because it's a nice sunset. It's a viewpoint. It's really a photo like from where do you look, because you can see, and I can be this person and look at that scene. But they should have a bit more space. That's one thing, and maybe I would add a bit of light on them. So I would just add a radial filter. Let me press Alt to reset. So everything is reset. I'm just going to boost the exposure, invert mask, and check it out. I'll just add a bit here, make it a bit bigger. The eyes is drawn to whatever is bright. So I'm making it too much on purpose. I'm going to turn this down, maybe add a bit of yellow in it, and feather the mask a lot. Okay. Just to put a bit more attention on them. That's maybe a bit too much. I'm going to lower it down just a little tiny bit, before, after, it's maybe even too much. But the eyes is drawn to the brightest part of the photo. So yeah, a bit more space there, and just add a bit of more light on them, and probably a bit more vibration, vibrance, I mean. Okay, so that's the first one. Let's go back to library. Sorry. And now it's from Edwin Danon. Oh, also, I'm very sorry if I pronunciate your name wrong. I'm French, trying to speak English. Not easy. Okay, so here is another photo. This is the before, and this is the after. Now, on this photo, I'm not a huge fan of that photo because there is too many things going on. You have two people walking, you have a wall there, there's a bird, there is two old boats and one modern boat. It's not a bad photo, and please don't get offended, but there is a lot of things going on, and it's not a matter of, this is really a matter of composition. And I think that's the hardest thing to achieve in photography, is how do you, in the hell, try to communicate something and just communicate that and not there is too much stuff going on, too much communication. My eyes goes everywhere. So, and the light is not particularly splendid. I like how he did the sun. The sun is kind of nice, you know. But yeah, so that I just took this as an example as a too busy photo. But it's not a bad photo, it's just a bit too busy for me. So that was the idea on this one, and I hope I did not offend anybody. Okay, another one from Jagza Zuzik. I'm sorry, I think so, probably from the East Hungary or something. That's the before, and that's the after. Okay, now this one is, I took this one because what I like about this one is the composition about the frame in the frame. There is a natural frame, and the thing is that if you press I to get the info, you see that he shot this at f8 at 1600. So he had a lot of, he could have gone on to 1100 and go to f14. There was a lot of light present. Why I'm saying that? Because here it's very neat, and here it's very blurry there. It's a bit too much blurry to me. So what I would have done is I would have stayed at f8, but I would have gone to, I would have gone to f14 or something. Whenever you have like a foreground, middle ground, and background, and you want to get everything sharp, well, the best one is to focus on some, not make sure you don't autofocus, because if you autofocus, there's good chances that the autofocus is going to grab whatever is first there. So you can go to manual focus and just try to focus on something which is in the middle. Like I would have focused maybe on that or something, you know, in the middle. Go to about f14, and he could, because at f14, he probably would be at 100 of a second, still at ISO 100, and everything would be sharp. I think that's the only thing missing on that. Personally, I would add a bit more yellow there with the technique I showed last week, and just, yeah, a bit more sharp. But I like the composition on this one. It's interesting. Next, we have Joe Gliozzo. Joe Gliozzo, okay, that's the before photo, and that's the after photo. Now this one I kind of like, I just think it's just too blue. And I think that the foreground elements there are a bit too present. These rocks are not the most beautiful rocks in the world. So personally, I would try, I mean, maybe it's bad, I would try to warm it up a little bit, you know, add a bit of, just try to warm it up. It's a bit too blue to me. But that's really, again, that's my taste, guys. You know, you might hate me for that because this really is my taste. And I would crop it maybe a little bit more panoramic, get half of the rock or something. I don't know. I think the rock is a bit too much present. Something like that. And one thing that I do is on this one, I would do, let me reset it. I would do a neutral filter. Something like that. A graded filter. And make this a bit darker, just to have a bit less attention on the foreground. And I would even get this a bit darker on top, not that much, just a little tiny more. Voila, something like that. Add a bit of clarity, maybe. No clarity, and a bit of vibrance. Yeah, that's how I would do. But the problem with this photo is that the rocks is a bit too present. And another thing, it's a little trick, but you see that this, I forgot how it's called. It's called a phare in French. It's going to come back to me. There is, from the rule of third, for me, it's a bit too much in the middle. I would crop the photo in a way so it's a bit more like this. Something like that. Yeah, I think it's more dynamic to have it just on the third of the photo than in the middle. You know, they have this old rule in photography that it's called dead center. Anything in the center is too dead. That's how I would go about it. But again, I'm not a huge fan of the foreground, but I like the colors there. The sunset was pretty cool. Okay, next, let's go down to library and take the next photo. John Hurley. John Hurley. So that's the before and that's the after. Now, that's a long exposure shot. Let's see, 30 seconds at f10, ISO 100. That's pretty cool. Again, for me, it's a bit too blue. I would have done a better contrast between the blue, like take a bit less blue. Let's see if I can do it really quick. You know, maybe warming up just a little tiny bit to take a bit of the blue, and with a little trick I showed from last week, you know, add a bit more yellow or red there. But that's just me. I would probably do something like that. But I love that shot. That shot is pretty. Look, I love how the long exposure, it makes very like fuzzy water. I really like that. So that's that. Next is Karma Hamed. Now, okay, that's the after photo. Let me show you the before. That's the before, and that's the after. Now, to be frank, I don't like so much this photo, it has this sort of HDR look to it. The subject is, I mean, the sunset is cool, but it's not because you've got a great sunset that it's going to make a great photo. This is, yeah, this is a bit crooked. This is a bit crooked, and this is cut. I don't sort of understand what this is doing here. And also the clouds are a bit too dark. One thing you need to make sure when you do clouds, it's good to have clouds which are like HDR-like, or which are, you know, how do you say, with a strong contrast. But clouds are very seldom very dark. So this is one thing you need to watch for, and also make sure that this is straight and this is straight. But this, you know, it's not because you've got a great sunset that you have a great photo. I don't think that photo is that great. I'm sure there was maybe a better composition to do. But anyways, this man is maybe starting. I don't want to, you know, get in trouble, but okay. This could be better. Okay, next we have Kostas Tispos. Okay, that's the before, and that's the after. Before, after. He put a little frame to it. I love the long exposure shot. I think it's great. I like how he did, you know, how he went from very blue to a mix of blue. Maybe there is a bit too much green in the yellows. I would maybe add a bit of magenta there. But I love the composition because it's not centered. You've got like 20% of sky and 80% of land. And I think this is a really interesting thing. You know, a lot of people, they put their horizontal line in the middle, and that's boring. You know, if you put it up that way, you know, a lot of land and a bit of sky is interesting. Personally, I would have gone 30-70, not 20-80. But that's just me. But overall, it's a really nice photo. I think it's a bit too much yellow there compared to here. I would have gone maybe a little less on the yellow and add, you know, make it a bit more subtle. But it's pretty good. Okay, and again, this is my viewpoint. You can totally disagree on my viewpoint, and this is your right. For anybody who cares about my viewpoint, here it is. Okay, then we have Nico Kaiser. All right, so this is the before, and this is after. I love that shot. I love that shot. I think it's very powerful. Just one thing I would do, I think it's missing on this shot, is I would close the photo a bit more. What I mean by that is add a neutral density filter. Oops. Let me press on reset, Alt for reset. Just lower this and close it just a little bit here. Same thing here. Why? Because I want to get attention to this beautiful kid which is there. Okay, maybe it's a bit too much there, and maybe here it's a bit too much. Okay. I think also, I think let me see the white point and the black point on these photos. Black point, yeah, I think we can make it a bit darker there, and the white point maybe a bit brighter there. Okay, I think it needs a bit more clarity because the sunset is really nice. Okay, and the one thing that I would do is put more attention. Again, you know, your eyes is drawn to whatever is brighter. So on the kid, I would, let me reset this. To reset any tools in Lightroom, you just press the Alt key and the effect goes to reset. You click on it. I'm going to put a little circle on the kid, boost the exposure, invert the mask. So now I've got like a sort of a spot, right? Make this a little bit bigger, feather it a lot, and that's it. And so you have more, so that you have even more attention on the kid. I think it's a beautiful, it's a great composition, great lightning, great light. I would even get that, the sky even more crazy. For that, what you can do is just add a filter on the sky and just boost the saturation just for that. Maybe not, just a little more, you know, just to boost it a bit more. So yeah, that's the before, that's the after what I did. You know, just to put a bit more attention on the kid, but great composition and great lighting. I like that photo. Okay, next, library. Next, we have Nico Prikartst. Okay, now this one I didn't like so much, to be frank and honest. This is the before and this is the after. Now, I like how he cropped it. I think it's smart to have less green. But you see the colors in the sky is totally off. This yellow has got a bit too much green in it. And that's one thing I hate about yellows, is when you have some green in the yellow, it gives like a sort of washed out, you know, like dirty wool type of yellow. And this has a bit too much magenta, so it looks kind of fake. You've got green, yellows, and I mean, I know I like a lot fake sky and very saturated sky, but this one is a bit too much. And also, and that's the problem we have in photography. If there wouldn't be this house back there, in this house, it would be amazing because you would just have one tree, one house, and one beautiful sky. And that's the hardest thing in composition, is to find composition where you communicate just one message. There's a bit too much message going on there. So yeah, that was my viewpoint on this one. Nikolai Petrov. Oh, I like that one. I remember this one. This is the before, which is already a very nice photo. And this is, this is the after. I love that shot. I think it's a great composition. I like the leading lines, you know, because here it's like a little line that gets your eyes in the photo. I would have done a bit of more dodge and burn on the water, even more than he did. I think, I just love the photo. It's really good. So very well done to Nikolai. It's a beautiful photo. I love it. I maybe would have had just a little bit of yellow in the water so that it reflects the sky, so that it doesn't look like you added the yellows there. But, you know, that's just to be able to say something. Then we've got Patrick Carlson. Okay, that's the before, and that's the after. Now, I think it's an interesting composition. Panoramic, just one element. It's a shame that there was so much, stuff in front of the house. You know, it's a bit too much. I think this photo is lacking a little bit of contrast. I would have gone a bit more crazy on the contrast on that photo, a little bit more. And I would have maybe add a bit more, but that's just me. I'm just crazy with the sky, you know. A little bit more warm sky there, you know, just to make it, you know, I would have gone further, but that's, you know, that's something like that. But yeah, that's what I would do, because I'm obsessed with saturated photos. But anyways, I love the composition. I would just have added just that. All right, next, Peter Schuten. Schuten, I don't know how you say that. Peter Schuten. Okay, that's the before, and that's the after. I think this one is pretty awesome. I like the composition, the power. It's very saturated there. I would have gone maybe a bit more on the gradient, but honestly, it's really cool. It's a really cool shot. Now, the thing, what Peter did is he shot this at ISO 200. It's a bit underexposed, a bit too much, but he had no choice, because the thing is that now when you open the shadows, you can tell that there was a lot of noise, because it's a bit the first rocks are a bit blurry. So what I would do is when you have something like that, what you can do is try to bring some sharpening there, maybe by going into a brush. And that doesn't always work. Add some clarity and add some sharpness, and just brush on the foreground, just to add a bit more details, because I can tell this has been, you know, blurred a lot, you know, with the noise reduction. So this way you bring a bit more sharpness into the photo. That's all I would do on this one. But otherwise, it's a great photo. I think it's a powerful one. It's maybe a bit too much saturated on the sky, but then again, who am I to say that? Okay, Sue Bogart. I'm sorry if it's bad pronunciation. Sue Bogart. This is the before. This is the after. I like the leading lines. Sorry, let me press I. The leading lines, that really gets me into the photo. I think the sun, there's a bit of yellow missing in the sky, but apart from that, it's really cool. And then we have Tamir Vaknis. Long exposure shot again. I'm a huge fan of long exposure shot. This one is a bit small though. The JPEG he sent me. Same thing. I think it's a bit too red. Watch out on the sunset when you correct them. There's a bit too much red there and too much red there. Don't go too crazy on the reds. Add more a bit orange or yellow than the reds. Okay, then we've got Tom Hope Diebeck. Tom Hope Diebeck. Okay, this is the before, and this is the after. Okay, this one is not so good, because you have this problem of the clouds are too dark, and that's one thing I wanted to show you that, because one, I think the subject is not so interesting, it's not so nice, you know, but also look at the texture. This is what's wrong about not using long exposure with water. I don't like when the texture of the sea is like that. It's very rough, you know, it's rough for the eye. And when it's very smooth, like all this long exposure photo I showed you, I think it's more interesting. Why? Because not only it's nice because it's smooth, but it also, you know, you've got too much stuff going on. You know, this is a strong texture. This is a strong texture. The clouds are too dark. That's why I think it's interesting to make long exposure. But then again, it's just my advice. Please don't take it bad. Then I've got Zbynek Yurbos. Okay, something like that. I'm really sorry. Okay, now this photo is interesting because I love the middle ground and I kind of like the background, but I think the foreground is a much too aggressive texture. So what I would do is, one is take a lot of this foreground elements. We need some, it's good to have some, but this is, I think it's more interesting if you do that. Then I would, again, close the picture. What I mean by closing the picture is doing a vignette effect. So I would, you know, sort of, let me reset this. I would lower the exposure because the foreground is not so much interesting. Then on the opposite, I think this cloud is too dark. So what you can do is make another gradient filter, and instead of with the exposure going minus, you can open up the shadows, just that, because I don't want this cloud to be so dark, okay? Maybe a bit like this. And then one thing I would do on this one, for sure, is add a bit of light there, you know, maybe with a brush or something. Let me press the Alt key, reset, exposure, add a bit of, you know, exposure, add a bit of clarity maybe, just there. Because the star of the photo is really this middle ground, which I think is, okay, that's way too much clarity and it's way too much exposure. But I would do something like that, and I think something is wrong also with the overall color. The white balance is a bit off. I would try to, let's see what, if we go left or if we go right, and I think, you know what, it's just missing a little tiny bit of magenta. Not so much, I'm going to put the yellows back, but just a little bit of magenta, yes. Let's see. Let's, before my retouch, after. Okay, oh no, wait. Because I already tried this before recording the video, so it's getting me to the before of the before. So let's go to the develop module. I just want to see what I did to it. So let's go to history, which is here. So yeah, I did all that. So that's how it came out. Yeah, too much foreground, and that's where I am now. Yeah, it's kind of a bit more interesting. Voila. So I hope this helped you a little bit. As I said, I'm just giving you my experience as a landscape photographer, and you totally have the right to disagree with us, what I say. I hope it inspired and you learned something. Thank you very much, and let's get back to my room. All right, guys. I hope this was of any inspiration or any help at all. That's all I'm trying to do. Inspire people and help them to become a better photographer if I can, and share some of the things that have worked for me. If you can share this episode to your friends by just share it on any social network or just leaving a comment, it really helps me to get this podcast known. Thank you very much for being there weeks after weeks, and I'll see you in the next episode.